when I started this event, it had nothing to do with in my head, oh, I'm going to get back on real estate on this. It kind of worked out perfectly. And then I realized real estate agents should be doing this.
Hello and welcome to episode 116 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by United States Marine turned real estate professional and entrepreneur, Sandy Lynn Burnett. Known on social media as That Broker Girl, Sandy shares with us today how an annual event she began hosting has paid off big for her real estate business. Also, as the co-founder of Virtuplicity, she shares how agents can find the most success using a virtual assistant. Now, before we get on to today's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, if you or someone else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to today's featured interview with Sandy. If you'd like to see more from her, I've added her links to her social media profiles in the episode description. Honestly, the way I like to get started is if you could just introduce yourself to us a little bit, kind of who you are and where you're at in the country.
All right, guys. Hey, I'm Sandy Lynn Burnett. I am That Broker Girl. I am out of the Quad Cities. It's a couple cities in Iowa, a couple cities in Illinois, separated by the Mississippi River, if you don't know your geography. Former U.S. Marine turned realtor, turned all kinds of different types of entrepreneur, and hopefully that about sums it up.
Right. What was it that made you want to get into real estate after the Marines?
It wasn't a direct path at all. I definitely worked for the government for a while, had a totally cush job, if, to put it straight. But honestly, that has just never been something that has settled for me. Like good enough has never settled for me, right? I've always thought that there was like a better way to do things. And I've always kind of like wanted to make more money and just, I've always kind of just been a lot more driven, right? And real estate's never been good enough for me, I'll be honest. So I have other businesses, and I like surrounding myself with different kinds of people. So it's a cool lifestyle. And so I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I think that a lot of real estate agents are real estate agents because they wanted to be entrepreneurs. And it was the easiest way to start a business.
Right. So before we kind of dive into, some of your tips and things for agents, tell me a little bit about some of the other, the businesses and things that you're involved in.
All right. Cool. So I just started super fresh startup, a company called Virtuplicity. And it's a VA company, virtual assistants. And it's kind of funny because once I started it, it's kind of like when you see a car driving down the road, I bought a Porsche and then all of a sudden I saw the same Porsche. Everybody's starting a VA company, it seems like. But the reason that I started this company is because I noticed a lot of agents that I would coach or that I would help out, when they would talk about hiring a VA, they would either do it wrong or implement them into their business wrong, and it wouldn't work out. And they would be like, oh, VAs don't work, or my VA sucked, or whatever. And it took me about 2 years, a year and a half, basically, to truly hit my stride with my virtual assistant. And once we hit our stride, there was like nothing stopping us.
Right.
And so I want this for everybody. And I think that the process can truly be replicated, and not just for real estate agents. So that was the other mistake that I see a lot of other VA companies making, is I think that this can be replicated for other businesses. We're consulting with, tree companies and staffing companies and other things. Like, I'm not even advertising yet. And there are, we have lots of clients already. So.
Right. Well, definitely want to kind of circle back on that, because I think it is an interesting topic, and one that you know, I think a lot of people, when it comes to, they'll get into hiring a VA and they just really don't, it's almost like they don't really know what the job is that they're looking for to fill first. And I think that's a big issue with it.
That's exactly where I was. When I hired my first VA, they were like, well, what kind of VA do you want? I'm like, I don't know. That's why I paid you a lot of money. Like,
Right.
figure it out. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's it kind of pissed me off. I'm like, I paid you $5,000, like, give me whatever I'm supposed to get. And so I paid this company a lot of money, and then I still had to do all this work and figure it out. And it took me, still a year and a half of my life to finally hit my stride. And this, my poor VA, it took me a long time to trust her. And then once I started to trust her, we really I overloaded the crap out of her with all kinds of work. And then once we really hit our stride, I mean, she was like, Sandy, you gotta hire some help because you're about to break my back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could talk for days on that, but it's a really important topic.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So why don't let's kind of dive into, you know, so lead generation and marketing, huge topic in real estate. And one of the interesting things you mentioned was, events and throwing events to do that in your market.
Yeah. So obviously in real estate, none of us want to be knocking on doors, making cold calls. None of us want to be hat in hand with our family members, like, I'd really appreciate you giving me a shot.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like there's just nothing worse than that, right?
Right.
Um, so I always tried to figure out ways to think outside the box. And actually, when I started this event, it had nothing to do with in my head, oh, I'm going to get back on real estate on this. It kind of worked out perfectly. And then I realized real estate agents should be doing this. And so I'm like, oh, I should teach real estate agents how to do this. So here's what we ended up doing. I'll go back to my 20s when I was a single mom. In the Marine Corps, it's very important. Our birthday is very important to us. November 10th, 1775 is when we were born. Okay. So my birthday is March 13th, but like nobody gives a shit about your birthday anymore. It's like November 10th is like our birthday now. And on November 10th, we're always like, happy birthday. And like we all hug each other. And I don't care if you never met, like you are best friends that day. It is an amazing, special day. And so, in my 20s as a single mom, I'm out of the military. It sucked. I was broke, 2008's here. I didn't have a good job. I was like working retail. Um, and I went to this little Marine Corps birthday party at Hooters. And this one guy like picked up the tab, and it was just really nice to have like a few beers and some wings on somebody else's dime. And I'm like, that was really special. And fast forward to, 6 or 7 years ago, I was like, this is how I want to give back. I want to start a party. There wasn't a really awesome party. There was a couple of cool little, I don't want to be like old man parties, So I was just like, I want to do a really like rockin' party for these Marines. I want to make it like, a really cool thing that people can look forward to. And I want to do it try to do it at a different establishment every year, try to support different local establishments and stuff. And so I originally started it as a way to give back. Okay. And then I was like, you know what? Also, in real estate, we all know how to co-brand with lenders and vendors. And so why am I cutting a $5,000 check each year? Why am I not asking for support from, of course they would love to attach their name to it. So I started reaching out, the following a couple years, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So how it started was the first year, and you plan it and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope people show up. And they did. If you build it, they will come, because I'm from Iowa, so it happened. I decided, for the real estate side of things, I'm going to plan this event. I'm going to put the word out there. And in real estate, we all know how to market our things. We're going to put it out there in Facebook land. We all know how to market these things. Okay. And you plan it far enough in advance, pick your niche, pick whatever it is that you have in common with people, pick an event that you think that people are going to want to come to, a common interest, and plan ahead and just go for it. And so when we got there, I decided, you know what I'm going to do? All I want, the beer's on me, the food's on me. I just want you to sign your name, your email, and your phone number. That's all. And so that's all I wanted from them, sign in. So the next year, when I solicited for sponsorship from these vendors, I said, I have names and numbers and all this information from everybody. I'll give you data and everything and they're like, really? Okay, this is awesome. So, and also I invite them to the party. Mm-hmm. And I also say it's a very special thing to witness. And it very much is. If you put on a good event and then they're coming there and you publicly point these vendors out and you thank them. And then what we do is we have a little gift made and we publicly present it to these vendors who sponsor them. Everybody claps. They're publicly recognized. People are clapping them on the back, saying thank you. We have koozies printed with their, this is all cheap stuff. When you think about it, one listing coming out of this event, if I cut a check for $5,000 or $10,000, one listing coming out of this event pays for the whole entire year.
Right.
And I at least have that. But if I never got one thing from that, these veterans telling me this is their favorite night of the year is like, that's what does it for me. Right. Every year, so it really is every year. But it's grown so much that people travel to it. Like people book like plane tickets and travel to it now. It's become a monster. Like I can't not plan one now.
Right.
So
right.
It's a big thing now. And it's really exciting that it's grown that much, but it's a responsibility now. But the more that you plan, the more you start to arrange a committee, but the more you can delegate, just like with VAs, right? You can delegate, and I actually am more hands-off now. I'm just like, you guys got this. Obviously, it's November 10th every year. We're having it at this location. You guys know who gets priority for sponsorship, things like that. Another huge tip is hire a professional photographer.
Yes.
Have them taking candid shots of everybody having an amazing time. Have your main listing photographer do it. What I've been doing in the past is having my main listing photographer do it, paying them $100. Obviously, normal photographers would kill you over that, right? But you're a real estate agent giving that photographer a lot of business, and pay them $100 and buy their beer the whole night. Okay. And have them take candid photos of people having an amazing time. And that is amazing social media for you throughout the year.
Right.
And then hire a videographer taking video of you doing your rounds with people throughout the event. And now you have also amazing video clips for your video editor to be using as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, in kind of putting together events like this, really anybody can do it. It's just finding that passion that you have and kind of diving into that.
There's different things, like there's an event coming up somebody's doing, and it doesn't even have to have anything to do with real estate. Like the USMC B-Day Bash has nothing to do with real estate. There's something called Dogtoberfest coming up. Everybody bring your dogs to this park, and it's all about dog stuff. Has nothing to do with it. And a real estate agent could be the one organizing the whole thing. Whatever your passion is, like, get it together and be the center of it. That's all you have to do. Just do what you love. And I'm very big on that. I actually, on my social media, I live stream myself practicing piano, which I really suck right now. I used to be really good at it, but I really suck right now. And I live stream myself practicing because I'm not just going to practice on my own. I'm very purposeful with my time. And so I live stream myself doing it. And as I do it, I say, I'm live streaming this to prove to real estate agents that it does not matter what you put on video. You just put something on video and it will work.
Right.
And it's so true.
Right. Well, because somebody out there is going to connect with you. Somebody has that same interest in,
Exactly.
maybe they're taking piano lessons at the same time. And it's building connections with your, and to build bridges with your sphere.
Absolutely. Nobody cares what listings you have right now. Nobody cares what houses you're selling. Nobody gives a shit about any of that. But if they can connect with you as a person, and then they also remember that you're in real estate, they will totally come to you.
Right.
That's all you need them to do.
Right. And by throwing those events, it's not just, like you said, you're bringing on these sponsors, these vendors. And so you're building those referral partnerships with people all over your neighbor, of your market. And that's a huge, if you're really looking to scale up your business, start building up referral partnerships.
And it's crazy because when I first got into real estate, I was very timid about asking for referral partnerships from vendors. And it's crazy because now, as an experienced real estate agent, it's like, well, how much is in your budget? And now you almost pit them against each other. Like, which one of you am I going to pick?
Right.
For the key sponsorship for this one. And it's interesting if you start to change your mindset on partnerships.
Right. Right. When you were first starting to approach these vendors, for people that are listening to this and say, this is a great idea. I'd love to be able to put something on, but maybe I don't have, maybe I don't have my pitch down to go take to vendors. How did you go to them and say, hey, I would love to have you be a sponsor of this?
I think you have to have your vision clear first. So you have to be very passionate about what you're about to pursue. So definitely you've got to be able to sell them on it. So what I did first was I had the first event and I went out of pocket for it first, but it was a very small event. Yeah. So the first event, it was like $1,800 or something like that, which, in Iowa as a small time agent, like that wasn't cheap for, but you got to put your money where your mouth is on things. And I went to solicit sponsorship and all I did was slide these pictures across the table. And the joy of these grown men hugging each other and then them pulling a freaking sword out in the middle of a bar and just taking their clothes off. And so it was just, your pictures are worth 1,000 words. You know what I mean? And them just being like, all right, where do I sign up? I want in on this. I want to be the source of somebody's joy like that. Right. So I would say that's one thing. If you cannot show them, you better be able to tell them how they're going to be able to produce something like that.
Right. And like you said just a little while ago, if you get one listing out of that, it pays for itself by coming out of pocket. And really, when you think about the return on investment, you might get that listing you might get that one listing that year, but the name recognition that you're starting to build up, it's just that compound effect that you're starting to have.
It's crazy because, yes, the first year, I don't think I got any listings or purchases. The second year, I might have gotten one. And then now it's like, it's very interesting because real estate agents around me are really puckering up and they're tightening up. And it's making me nervous because I'm like, whoa, like things are ship shape over here. Like everything's great. And it makes me nervous because I'm like, wow, everything's amazing over here in business. And I'm like, should I be worried? But no, maybe I shouldn't because I've never paid for a Zillow lead since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing business and did I suffer for that? Hell yes, I did. Yeah. I was playing the long game though. I really was. I was not doing business the easy way. I definitely did it the hard way. And it was through things exactly like this.
Right. Right. Well, and that's things like this and building up that, those past client databases and those referral databases, those are most market proof because people are always going to be moving, buying and selling it. But, it's not having to convince new buyers and sellers that you should be their agent. And
they're so flaky.
Yeah.
They're so disloyal. I mean, you're nothing but like a computer screen to them. You know what I mean? Whereas these other ones, I mean, and there are sometimes like they still don't get it.
Right.
It's not bulletproof, but it's pretty good.
Right. It just, by doing these kind of things, you're able to show that you are a real person. You're a member of the community and that, you're somebody that they can trust. And I think that's the biggest part of being successful in real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So moving over to the virtual assistant thing, because honestly, I think that's a really interesting topic because I talk to a lot of people and, like you said, the first year, it was kind of a struggle. And I think a lot of times it comes down to really, what do you even want the virtual assistant to do? Like before you even start going towards hiring one, you kind of got to put together that job description.
And I thought that that's what I should have done. And I just dove in. Exactly. And so how I actually did it was I dove in. I was just like, you tell me what I should hire. And they ended up presenting me with a few different ones. And the one that I picked, actually, she had a bunch of mistakes, like spelling errors on her resume. So I am a tough bee to work for. Okay. I am very hard to please. And so I already was going to axe her before she even entered the Zoom room. And when she entered, she was just like, I need to feel like I'm a part of the team. I need to feel like I'm building something. And I was like, you're hired. And so that was the attitude I was looking for. Okay. Right. Everything else can be taught. Right. So when we started moving forward, I realized that she was going to be kind of an executive admin. So I feel like everybody's first virtual assistant should be an executive admin, kind of like a jack of all trades, right? Somebody that can start dabbling, doing a couple of social media posts. Everybody says, all right, I'm going to ask for my Google reviews. I'm going to be doing my little social media posts. No, you're not. You're not doing well at that. I wasn't doing well at that. And so, so here's what I started doing. I started having her do, just sold, pendings, listed. I wasn't even doing that. I was kind of a shitty agent when it came to that stuff because I didn't have time to do that stuff. And what was interesting was people started coming up to me in the grocery store and being like, damn, Sandy, you're killing it. And it's like, actually, I was just doing the same amount of business. It just looked like I was killing it.
Right.
But that's when I realized that I would start bonusing her. I said, you know what? Every single closing that I start getting, I'm going to bonus you, because no matter whether anybody can say it came directly or indirectly from you, if a neighbor calls me, it's because they saw that on Facebook. Like, it is because they saw that. And so then I realized, you know what? One of the things you need to do is start, anytime you are winning, you need to keep your VAs winning. Okay. So start bonusing the crap out of them. Any goals that you have, bonus them. So I take extremely good care. My margins might not be as good as other people's margins with their VAs, but my VAs, I don't think will ever leave me.
Right.
And they are very loyal, and they are very excited about what we're building,
Right.
And that's what I love. Like, we wake up to work very excited. Again, I'm not easy to work for.
Right.
But we're excited about what we're building, and they're paid very well, and they're very taken care of. And that makes me happy. You know what I mean? I go to bed knowing that I am not a cheapskate, basically.
Right.
So I bonus them very well, based on closings, and it doesn't have to be monetary, right? So I also give them extra paid time off with their family, whatever is important to them. Okay. So you want to find out what's important to them and motivate them in the correct way. Okay. So that was a little tangent there. Back to, I think everybody's first virtual assistant should be an executive admin, doing social media posts, asking for the Google reviews, and start building your credibility, like your social credibility. Okay. I did not do that soon enough in my real estate career. And what was really cool about my assistant was she would ask for forgiveness after asking for permission. So she would ask for permission, ask for my captions, and I wouldn't get her my captions. And then finally, she would just post them with emojis or something. And that was what was really cool about her. She would just be like, this has got to get done. So build the social credibility. And then after that, we started getting her involved in my transactions, as we started to build trust there. And she would start to manage my scheduling and things like that. And then, she became my primary transaction coordinator. So imagine this. Imagine somebody is paying for a TC, right? Like a local American TC. They cost like anywhere from $350 to $450, whatever, a transaction, right? And I'm paying my VA $5 an hour, plus I bonus her $100 a transaction, and she's a full-time assistant doing anything I want her to do. All of my transactions, which is like a lot a month, plus a lot more projects beyond that. And so it just blows my mind when people are like, yeah, but blah, 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 all these excuses about.
Right. Right. So now that you are, starting to coach, entrepreneurs on and bringing in virtual assistants, is it really that kind of like, showing people what avenues and what things that you should have people really kind of start doing for them where you can get comfortable using virtual assistants?
Yes, I believe that the biggest part, like, of how these operations fail is the VAs aren't being properly coached and the business owners aren't being properly coached. And I think that, and continuous coaching.
Right.
And I think that is like the key. And so that's what our company's all about. And then on the Philippine side of things, so this is kind of cool. Back when I was in the Marines, I actually had the privilege of visiting the Philippines. on this operation in 2002. So I was immersed in the Filipino culture for about a week. And little did I know that I would, be brought back into this at, way into the future. But when I met these Filipinos, they are the most talented, bright, educated, high level. They are incredible. And so it was really, really cool when kind of like life came full circle. Because you can get VAs from different countries, but we're exclusively sourcing from the Philippines. So that's one thing that's special about our company. And then we also have kind of a higher standard. So other companies will sell you on, you can get them for like $2 or $3 an hour. We are higher end, $4 an hour. But come on, guys. Spend $4 an hour.
Right.
Also, we believe in hiring your VA full time because we want them to be like emotionally invested in your business. Like there's a right way to do things, so like we have a whole way to do things, like you can't just contract them out on a project and stuff.
Right.
So there's a whole way of doing things.
Right. And I definitely, having somebody feel as a part, they are an employee, and having that emotional connection on their end that, hey, I am part of this business, I am part of the success of this business, is a really big, is a motivating factor for them to, to stay loyal and to do a good job. Yeah.
Like, I don't think my VA, Karen, is my HBIC. I don't think that she has time to listen to my podcast or anything. So I think we're safe here. But what's really neat is as we build the trust, so she's pregnant and I've been shipping over equipment like overseas as we built our trust, because that takes a lot of trust and stuff. But in this next box, we're shipping over like a lot of like baby, like it's going to be a surprise like baby shower box and some iPhones and stuff. And then also for Virtuplicity, like she has a VA like staff, like basically a VA staffing center out there. She has an actual building that it's going to be an internet cafe and a training center out there and everything, which is why we're kind of starting to send equipment and stuff out there. But yeah, we're doing like a little baby shower box for her. Awesome. So it's cool. It's they're real people. Yeah. And I think it's important to, treat them like that. And I think that that's another reason why a lot of other businesses have failed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. I 100% agree with that. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
This was awesome. I had a lot of fun.
All right. I really want to thank Sandy for joining us today. And remember, if you'd like to see more from her, I've linked her social profiles in the episode description. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.